Good morning, gardening friends. Today is Sunday, November 10th. Right now it's an overcast day. We did get some rain this past week. Nothing dramatic at one time. However, I did notice in my little rain gauge over there that we've got about 1.5 inches of rain over the whole week. So that's not bad. We're still down by a couple inches, but every drop of rain is greatly appreciated. Here you can see the pansies I planted this past week. One of my roses doesn't look all that well. I have to dig that rose up anyway to do a little bit of work on the deck. Under the deck, I should say. And I'm kind of debating whether to keep the roses or not. It's one of those things, when I planted them many years ago, probably about 8 to 10 years ago, I always liked the idea of a rose garden. However, these roses are hybrid teas. Great scent, but in the heat of the summer, they can go from bud to dead blossom in one day. So they're really only a cut flower garden. Oklahoma is the name of those roses. But it has been an eventful week. A lot going on in the world and around here. I did not do a lot of gardening this week. I did a little. The rains pretty much kept me away from working outside. Here you can see the last flower. Since last week, 2 other flowers have come and gone. And this is the last one to open yet of the golden chalice vine. And this is why it's called golden chalice. And I saved these when I blew off the deck this morning. That the spent flowers look like a chalice. And they do turn golden before they fall off. My cardboard palm is picking up some. When I first bought it, all of these leaves or bracts were flattened out. So they're starting to pick up. Cyclamen are still blooming. I got those last week. And I must say that the Nepenthes is doing better. Maybe filling those pitchers last week with some filtered water did the trick. But it does look like it's still growing, which is always good. Paper whites, no buds yet, but these were planted 2 weeks ago. Doing well. I'm going to split up this bromeliad. I got it last year in blossom, and it looks like I can cut out 4 different plants. So I may do that. And these are my species, Amaryllis. They should bloom this year. Banana's doing well. I'm not so certain about the Sarracenia. It didn't like its drought. I see some green in there yet, so I haven't given up on it. This Sarracenia is doing fine. And my Equisetum has risen above the stakes. The kittens aren't really kittens anymore. They're grown into cat size, so they're not chewing on things quite as badly. Bananas, still doing well. Good news is I didn't have to water much this week because of all the rains. I have to be super careful coming down this step, this ramp, because it's slick. Okay. Big news this week is satsumas are almost ripe. I tasted a couple and they were okay, but I'm going to leave them on the trees at least 1 more week before I start picking them. And I think this year I may make some satsuma marmalade. I haven't made that in quite a few years. I used to give it away as Christmas presents to all of my relatives up in New York. Of course, one of the drawbacks of getting older is I don't have those relatives in New York anymore, so I don't need as much jam. Here's my Ligularia. Doesn't look like it did much since last week. There you can see the rain, remnants of the mud that had splashed up on the little stool. This still looks pretty good over here. Everything is nice and damp. Looks like I have to nip back the Nandinas again. They're growing above the, I don't like to have them grow above the seeds. This camellia is about done. It didn't have a lot of blossoms, probably because it was in the shade, but there's still some more buds yet. See if I can get closer here. Well, just shook the leaves off. Here you can see the angel's trumpets I started from cuttings are doing better. Well, they're still growing, let's put it this way. Fatsia is still in bloom. And there you can see a bee hard at work, ignoring me while it works over the Fatsia blossoms. There are hundreds of bees that work that over later in the day, or at least if it gets sunny. This Fatsia is just starting, but I see there's a bee on it as well. They do like the Fatsia flowers. Here you can see fungus growing on the top of an old, under the ground there is a big stump, probably about 3 foot in diameter, of an old oak tree that had been taken out quite a few years ago, but it's still rotting. A couple of days ago, these brown mushy spots were 6-inch tall mushrooms, so either something ate it or they rotted away very quickly. I see there's a flush of weeds coming up in the grass. I did get my winter rye, and I will be planting it. Probably next week I'll have my lawn man come do one last touch-up on the lawn, and then we'll plant winter rye. Because once when you plant winter rye, you won't be mowing for a couple of weeks till the seeds catch. Here you can see the, I don't think I talked about the kumquats, but the kumquats are ripe. You can see some nice orange ones. Satsumas are still ripening. This is the bed that always dries up first. Right in this section here, everything wilts. So it's so nice to see it not wilting. It has enough rain. And the one thing I didn't pay attention to this week was the ginger lily that I transplanted up there. Considering I didn't cut it back. Normally I cut it back when I do that. Oh, there's a bird coming to say hi. But it looks nice and tall and not wilted, so that's all good. Actually, everything looks good here. Very well watered. Oh! I've got a little cassia blossom, it looks like. I can't get in any farther, so I'll just stretch as far as I can. Hopefully you can see that. These cassias I got on sale because they lost their leaves already, but hopefully they'll do well. Years ago, probably 10, 15 years ago, I had cassias on either side of this bench. At that point in time, I didn't have a lot of other tall trees around. That palm was there, but it was probably about 3 foot shorter. And in any event, the cassias did really well, and we used to, a couple of years, we actually bent them like an arbor over the top of this bench. And then just 1 year, the cassia on that side just froze and never came back. They do die back to the ground, but typically they do come back. And so since that one died, what good is this one? So I took that one out and moved it, and it died. So hopefully this cassia, these cassias will like it here. You can see the other one back in there. But yeah, that's looking good. These trumpet flowers, the flowers are beat up. But you can see here's the pink and here's the orange. No scent today because of all the rain. did make myself a little gardening tool this week. Well, I'm going to risk going back up on the porch again. Going up on this ramp isn't bad. Coming down is the pain. I should have mentioned it while I was up there. But my grandmother had a tool that she used. It was an old hoe from which she took the handle off. And this is actually the one I brought back from New York. That's her actual hoe. She used to sharpen it, hence it's got strange shape. But unfortunately, the handle has rusted to the point where I can't really use it anymore. So I thought, let me try and buy one of those. And I went online, and there is a Japanese version that you can buy, like from Walmart, that's sharpened. And it is like $35. I said, no way. So I got this one from Lowe's. What it was a child's hoe. And it had a long metal handle. And what I did is I cut the handle down and then took the little plastic bit that was at the end of the long handle and stuck it on this. So I now have a good gardening tool. I was out this weekend using it. Of course, these tools are to be used like when you're on your hands and knees, which is like the way you either bend over or you get down on the ground. So I tend to do a lot of weeding on my knees. So in any event, got me a new tool. Now I have to go down this ramp again. Last time today. Okay. Here you can see the bougainvillea is just absolutely loving its life here. It is a little sloppy, but it does have beautiful blossoms and thorns, so you do have to be careful where you put it. Back in here, all is well. The Gara, or Gara, however you want to pronounce it, has come back with a vengeance. This is the one I was planning on getting rid of because I had 3 in the pot and only 1 came back. But the one that came back very strong. So I'm going to leave it. That one looks good too. I don't know what's going on with these plastic pots. I may order some new plastic pots from Walmart. Was it Walmart or Etsy? One or the other. In any event, I had looked them up, and I just have to measure these to see what size they are. But you can see that they're starting to fold on themselves and will probably break. Needless to say, I didn't get to doing any garage work this week because of the rains. By the way, that white thing there, I did not put there. The cats did. It's just a rock. Now this tree has absolutely fallen down. This will hopefully be the first tree I pick the satsumas off of. If Raphael came here, I would have picked all those fruits off. There you can see that the the camellia is holding it up. It's really putting a lot of force down on that camellia, so I'll need to pick all these fruits. You have to be careful what you look up on the internet, because I asked this morning, where is Raphael now? And got back, he was buried in the Pantheon. But Raphael the Storm is apparently not going to affect us, although we probably are getting the sides of it, or the perimeter of it, which we needed. Didn't want the winds, but everything else was good. Here, these snapdragons that I planted in these urns are doing well. They're starting to bloom. They're supposed to be red, but it turns out they're red with the orange centers. This looks better after it was cleaned up in there, and the aspidistras, the dead taken out of them, or the burned taken out of them. Let me close this gate good, because I'm not coming back here this week. This camellia has some more buds, but that's what it looked like. It is an actual real camellia, not a sasanqua, but it's an early one. Here you can see you can see the new growth up here. It didn't really latch on the one I wanted it to, but it'll do. All of this twining is new. That's the star jasmine that I planted. It will grow in these other ones should that ivy actually peter out. These paper whites coming up are the ones from previous years. What I do is every year I take the pot that has just bloomed and find a spot and plunk it in. So you see there's a lot of paper whites here. I don't believe, in all honesty, I've ever had a rebloom yet. But as long as they come back green, sooner or later, I remain hopeful I will have a couple of blossoms. The mandevilla seems to like its new trussed-up state. It's got beautiful flowers still. And my white dove sasanqua is still in bloom. This is the 3rd week. It is a little messy, but it is a beautiful camellia. And this is actually a fairly full sun exposure. This is a southern exposure. Look at that double flower. It's absolutely beautiful. They're not all doubles. And one of the new purchases this week is this desert rose. Owl's 5 and Dime. A little store right across the street from where I live. That's where I get all of my annuals, because they sell them in 3-packs, which are a lot less expensive than going to Lowe's. But they got these in. They had 2 of them when I was there, and I talked with the guy that does the ordering, and he was touting these, and I've had one I think in the past, but the price was so good I wound up going back the next day and buying that one. It is a desert loving plant. It likes dry conditions. It's probably going to be kept similar to my ponytail palm, but I will have to protect both from freezing weather. There you can see the Australian tree fern still doing well. Grass is looking the worse for wear because of the drought. Back in here, everything's growing. Everything is so wet right now with all the rains we've had. Well, the wet weather. We haven't had that much rain, but it's been continually damp. This is the time of year when you have to worry a little bit about fungus issues when it's damp and doesn't ever dry up. You can see here that my, what was that? Not coriander. Can't remember what that was right now, but it's come back. Whatever it was, I'll think of it later. I use it all, marjoram. I use it all the time. And back in here you can see the butterfly gingers are blooming nicely. They seem to like that dense shade of the banana trees. I should have planted them there years ago. Of course, I do have to keep access to the water tap that's over there, so I can plant, well, I have to keep access, allow access to the electrical outlet as well, but I could plant a few more under there. And there you can see a small cycad coming up. I will be digging that out or breaking it off. It can be planted, and in about 5 years, it would look like that. You can see the cassia is still blooming. No signs of stopping. The only thing really that stops it from blooming is the frost. And we have none projected. I did do some work at the front this week, yesterday actually. Here you can see what I had done in front of the picket fence is I put those yellow pansies in, as well as the red dianthus. Close up of these red dianthus. But I wound up planting some more over here. I've got a couple of types of pansies. I fell in love with these red and white dianthus, and they do have quite a fragrance, but you have to get right up into them to smell them. And then I've got this kind of a pansy. It's yellow and blue. These pansies, these two big ones I got from Lowe's because they were marked down. And here's where I was using that little hand hoe yesterday cleaning this spot up. But I've got my annuals here for the winter, and they will actually live there quite nicely, provided I keep them watered, probably until, I want to say late February, early March, till the heat comes. The heat will knock them back. I don't believe there are any new camellias back in here. These camellias are all japonicas, so they're gonna take a while. They will be blooming. They'll be the last to bloom. But they do have a lot of bud. That's my yellow one. This is one that's unnamed. I got it at the flea market here in Mobile. Should say zone 9A for those of you that haven't watched many of these shows. Oh, here you can see a close-up of the loquat in blossom. They kind of look like strawberry flowers. They do have quite a fragrance. And here you can see all of the flush of new growth on my tea olives, having just cut them down. I was tempted to cut them again, but all of that growth is really fresh and new. And I've got a feeling Mother Nature will do the pruning for me, because they probably won't survive the frosts when they come. And anyway, it's a lot of work to do that. Why do it twice? There's one errant branch of the Nandina that I want to take down, or will want to take down. These Nandinas I like to keep tall because they kind of disguise my air conditioner. But there you have it for today on this damp Sunday morning. Here's my ponytail palm. It likes this spot. I should give an honorable mention again to this Mediterranean fan palm. This is, I think, the second year I've had it there, and you can see it's starting to rise almost to the size of the aspidistra. It'll be like this one. I had one like that planted in that spot, but I thought I'd move it to a better spot, which was where I planted the cordyline in the little side yard, and it died. So the key is you shouldn't move palms after they're established, because they're not guaranteed to live in the new spot. They might. It's worth a shot. But I got those, the big one here, the Mediterranean fan. It pays to shop Lowe's at the end of the season, because I think I only gave $5 for that. Of course, now you'd have to give probably $20, but still, that's the reduced price over the $50 or $60 that they normally get for them now. You can really smell the ginger lily when you walk through here. The fruit on this cycad is looking very colorful today. And the other plant that I bought, I will be replacing the pumpkins, but let's wait till after Thanksgiving. Hello? Just get up these stairs. The other new plant that I bought is the orchid. Now that is a moth orchid. I mistakenly called my ginger lily a couple of weeks ago a moth orchid. But I saw this particular one. It's got two stems and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Originally, when I built this porch and closed it, I built these big shelves here to house orchids. I used to have a couple dozen orchids. Now this is 25 years ago, before orchids were available in every store and Walmart. And in any event, never had a lot of luck with them. Of course, you have luck with them like this when you buy them in bloom. Those blooms should last through Christmas. But I've never had luck getting them to rebloom, so it's okay. I'll enjoy it as a flower and maybe just tuck it out in the yard after it's done blooming and when frosts are past. Oh, I see. I don't know if you can see it. I can't get at it much. My Apicia has got some blooms in there, the little orange flowers. They're related to, I believe they're related to African violets. But there you have it for the day. Looking out from the front porch at the potager. I hope you all get a chance to get out in your yards and enjoy your garden. And until next week, take care.